Island again. We've got a returning face, and I'm really shocked, honestly, that Khadis Ibragimov is coming back to the UFC. He's getting another shot, taking on UFC newcomer Danilo Marques. And I would love to hear your thoughts on this one, Matt, because Khadis is the type of fighter that really I expected him to get cut. He's on a three-fight losing streak right now, and I did not expect to see his face again. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, and somebody in the UFC really likes this kid again because when you start your UFC career 0-3, that's almost an automatic getting cut. And we're not talking about, hey, he got thrown to the wolves, so let's cut him some slack. Okay, Ed Herman was probably a step up for a 24-year-old. I mean, that's what he was at the time when he fought Herman. But Deum Jung and Roman Dolidze, none of those guys were studs. And other than the Ed Herman fight where he clearly lost decision, he got choked out in one and then knocked out in his last. So I mean, he didn't even seem really competitive in a couple. And yet, for whatever reason, they're giving this kid the fourth chance here in the UFC against someone making their UFC debut. And here we get a guy. It's really hard to figure out what the deal is with Marquise because it's his UFC debut. He's huge. He stands 6'6", or 205 pounds. It's just, absolutely huge. His last win by knockout, though, because that's kind of been the kryptonite for Ibragimov, was in 2015, and he hasn't fought in 2.5 years. This guy's last fight was February of 2018. So literally more than 2.5 years since he's fought. He trains at Damian Maya Jiu-Jitsu, which, is good and bad because some of those guys tend to be a little one-dimensional, which doesn't really work that great in today's UFC. I was looking for every reason in the world to bet against Ibragimov, but in this fight, it really feels like the UFC wants this young man at 25 years old to get a win here, and they are feeding him, I don't want to say the easiest guy they could find, but they are feeding him a guy who's 9 years older, hasn't fought in 2.5 years, making his UFC debut. I mean, everything on this says Ibragimov should get his first UFC win here, but how do you lay $1.75 with a guy who's 0-3 in the UFC and didn't look very good in any of those fights?
I completely agree with you, Matt. And I'll be honest. I went ahead and took the shot. I'm struggling to find plays on this card, and I think we've got a live dog here. I'm taking a shot on Marquez at plus 140. It's a straight, plain and simple fade on Khadis Ibragimov, in my opinion. I mean, he's serviceable everywhere, but he gasses out. He looks to grind people up against the fence. He's going to be the smaller man in this position. We talked about how big Danilo is going to be. I don't think he's going to have a strength advantage. So when he's looking to kind of press and bully up against the cage, I'm not sure how well that's going to go for him. He doesn't have knockout power himself, and he always looks to kind of grapple with people. And I noticed he really sticks his head into chokes. He hasn't fought anybody that's really taken much advantage of it, except for the Da Un Jung fight that you referenced. He's going up against Marquez, who trains at King's MMA. You mentioned he's, with Damian Maya. He trains with Fabricio Verdum, Shogun. He's a brown belt. This guy is big, and even though he's very, I'd say green on the feet is a nice way to put it, he circles well. He moves well for a big man. He's got a nice jab. He should be able to keep Khadis out, on the outside as long as he wants to. And then when Khadis comes in and sticks his neck under this guy's arm, I think he's going to scoop a guillotine on him, and we have seen Khadis gas out against smaller fighters than this man in the second round and just have nothing to offer for rounds 2 and 3 multiple times before. I'm going to take the shot. I think Danilo Marques wins this thing via guillotine choke in round 2 when Khadis is just done once again and has nothing left to offer. And I don't know. I may be off here. Maybe Khadis gets the win. But like you said, how are you ever laying 170 with Khadis Ibragimov?
Yeah, absolutely agree. I just don't think there's any way you can lay it. And I don't disagree with your take here that you could almost blindly bet against him at that price. Knowing that, look, his opponent trains at a good gym, I really don't like the 2.5-year layoff. But at the end of the day, you're still getting the bigger man who you know is going to come in well prepared. There's a lot to like, probably. For me, it's dog or pass. I just haven't got there yet on the dog.
Yep, and that's exactly where I'm sitting. Definitely a dogger pass spot, and I'm gonna go ahead and take it.